Phil, that was our good friend Connie Zweig, who very impressed with the work she's done and is doing, and what she has written. I think, when people hear the dark side, I think it scares them a little bit, and they think of an exorcist or whatever. But actually, I think she described it quite well, and the influence of Carl Jung, who had a big influence on me when I was studying clinical psych, and but
Yeah.
I think she's implemented that. Uh, Kind of angle on human psychology and incorporated spiritual practice as well. I'm sure she's helped a lot of people.
Oh yeah, she'd been doing it for a long time. I don't think she liked the use of the term dark side. I think she likes shadow
Okay,
because dark has even different
right, right.
implications of negative and evil, whereas Darth Vader sort of thing.
Yeah, but
Whereas
it is. Yeah, I think yeah, shadow is a more appropriate, softer term. But there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if the stuff that has had whatever impact on us is not dealt with, then I don't think that's healthy.
right, and that's the whole point of shadow work and Jung's insight into the shadow. And a lot of people, as Connie said, have made an important contribution going from deep spiritual work to recognizing that these shadow elements, positive and negative, exist, and that they can wreak havoc on our lives in terms of how we live in the world, regardless of our spiritual pursuits. I mean, I think everybody would agree that deep spiritual practices, the ones that are really transformative, do change some of those deep subconscious elements, but not sufficiently and not predictably and not all the time for all people. And so people discovered that there were these patterns of behavior that weren't serving them well, despite years of spiritual practice, and then it became obvious that certain things have to be dealt with on their own terms,
Right, right.
or else wait a few more lifetimes to have them.
Right. I related very much to what she said, and I thought she articulated it well. That we were involved in the same sort of spiritual group, and there was a period of time where you get so absorbed in it, you think, okay, if I just do my meditation and nothing else, everything's going to be perfect. I don't have to work on my personality. I don't have to work on my social interactions. And she said it hurt her in her 20s. She didn't develop emotionally as well as she should have. She didn't develop the interpersonal skills that she should have been developing because she was all absorbed in that. Now I think most uh, good spiritual teachers will tell you, hey, you practice your meditation, do your yoga, whatever, but you have to live a good life. You have to do decent things. You have to have a set of values and all. But I can understand and see how people can fall away from focusing on that and think, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to get enlightened, and then I'll be a perfect human being, and I won't have to
Yeah.
worry about any of that. And I haven't met anybody that sort of accomplished that. That's just
Well,
me. Yeah.
I think that was a faulty projection or assumption. And to be honest, I think first of all, every spiritual group, especially in the 60s and 70s, every lineage that people followed, they all think they're the only group that had certain phenomena take place, but it's not the case. In Buddhist meditation groups and all the different yoga groups and meditation groups, there were similar phenomena of people having this sort of wishful thinking idealism that everything would disappear. In Buddhist circles, it was called the cushion model. That everything, you just sit on your meditation cushion and do your practice, and all these problems will disappear. And, I remember 20, 25 years ago, some, Buddhists saying, well, we also need the couch, not just the cushion. We
Right. Right.
need to. And I think there's a lot of psychological insight in some of these ancient Eastern methodologies or in traditions But I think the advent of modern depth psychology speaks to the modern psyche in ways that maybe the Eastern models could not have anticipated. Complex multicultural societies like
Right.
ours with totally different family dynamics and all that sort of stuff. I remember someone telling me a story about the Dalai Lama. I don't know if it's true, but when he heard how many Western young people had issues with their mothers and their, all that, he couldn't believe it. It's like,
Right. Well, he had a very
you
different
know,
upbringing, didn't he? Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm sure, but it was,
Yeah.
traditional small societies that are homogeneous and, traditional. They probably don't have the same kind of dynamics, and so that
Uh-huh.
had to be all unfolded, perhaps by,
He never met
modern
anybody
experts.
from Brooklyn. Uh, who grew up in Brooklyn or New Jersey or many other places, I should say. But well, that reflects on us. I being from Jersey City and you being from Brooklyn, but we met a lot of complex personalities in our day. Uh, Connie, I thought she summed things up well. I thought
Yeah.
she made a lot of those points, and then she didn't dwell on I got caught up in that, and then my life was at a standstill. She moved forward, and she didn't abandon her spiritual teachings
No.
to grow as an individual who lives on the planet that interacts with other people. So it's and it goes even back in the day in the '60s. There were people that said, "Hey, you just take this drug." And you'll have a psychedelic experience,
Right.
and your life you'll be living in the world of magical and wonderful times. That also came up. So I think every tradition and what she mentioned was sort of moving toward fundamentalism,
Yeah.
orthodoxy in any group, and it always happens in religions. It always happens in spiritual groups, and that's where you really have to be careful.
Oh, yeah. There's always, some kind of orthodoxy or fundamentalism in every spiritual group, and there's always more liberal and open-minded people in the same group, and that those sort of tensions play themselves out um, chronically in just about every group I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Just reflects human personalities
Right.
and
I
the
think that
dynamics of groups.
yeah, the model that I always refer to, and this model can be applied to any group, religious or spiritual I've ever dealt with, even a philosophical group. There's the what they have in American Judaism is the Reform, the Conservative, and the
Yeah,
Orthodox, and every group has that.
that's right.
And the Orthodox are always, unless you're part of the group, the most difficult for others in that group to deal with because
Yeah.
it's this way or the highway. But hey, everybody has a right to feel and believe what they believe,
Well,
and
even in Freudian circles, there were tensions between the Orthodox Freudians
right,
and and the ones who were saying, well, maybe we should consider some other
yeah.
alternatives
You
here
know,
and
look,
there.
political philosophy, same thing. It's
Yeah,
all
we're
like
seeing it. We're seeing it played out in politics right now
Mamma
in a
Mia, yeah,
in a very unhealthy way, aren't we?
yep. These are the
So
days.
and these sort of shadow elements is what Connie dissects very brilliantly, and her books, are have made important contributions in the development of the understanding of shadow and shadow work and
Right.
its relation to spirituality. So
We'll
it was
have that
great to
all.
have her on the program.
Great having you on. We'll have all that posted up. All right, Phil.
Yep.
Till next
Okay,
time,
man.
another wonderful interviewee.
The shadow
The
knows.
shadow knows. Yes.